the dispossessed, the landless, the unemployed, those working in the informal sector, and those shouldering the burden of care. And as we know, COVID-19 has worsened the situation, with women especially bearing the brunt of the pandemic. It is approximately 27 years since the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, which was adopted in 1995. Gains have been made in the social, political, and economic spheres, as revealed in the 25-year review of the Beijing Platform for Action in 2020. Notably, however, is that despite the progress, not one single country has fully achieved gender equality. This factor is reinforced by the World Economic Forum Global Gender Gap Report of 2021, which states that another generation of women will have to wait for gender parity as the impact of the COVID-19 continues to be felt. Closing the gender gap has increased by a generation from 99.5 years to 135 years so that we can close that gender gap. But let me digress. See, we are a country of champions. We are always running in the marathon. Yeah, so even if this one is written, I am sure as Kenyans we can break this. Aren't we going to do so? Yes. So it is also telling that according to the same report, it will take another 267.6 years to close the gap in economic participation and opportunity. Hey, this report, you wait until we launch, until the government of Kenya launches the Women Economic Empowerment Policy, which we are about to finish. I see the staff over here, they have been working on it. This one we shall say, this is what is written, but we are believing something different. So therefore, Kenya is not only the only country faced with this challenge of inequalities in the socio-economic sphere. The difference in labor force participation can be attributed above all to women's disproportionate share of unpaid care and domestic work made worse by the COVID-19 pandemic. This is because we are reading this to a global audience. But to us, Kenya here, under the WE policy that we are reviewing, there is a topic there of unpaid care work. So, yeah, so something is happening. Talk about being led by a professor. Yeah, we're making places, yes. The crisis has decimated economic sectors where women workers are overrepresented, causing more employment losses and a shadow pandemic of violence against women and girls. Women in the informal sector with little or no social protection have also suffered disproportionately, as income support and other measures have not been very effective in protecting livelihoods to the long term. Suffice to say that enjoyment of the right to work and at work by women and support of their economic empowerment in the challenging circumstances in the world of work is key in realization of the Sustainable Development Goals. Now, measures taken by Kenya. The importance of robust legislative and policy framework is critical for women's economic empowerment, as these provide a foundation for implementing the relevant programs and other interventions which are key to the economic growth of a country. Another measure taken by Kenya is the Constitution of Kenya gives women and men the right to equal treatment, including the right to equal opportunities in political, economic, cultural, and social spheres. This legal equality is also exhibited in many countries. The Constitution also provides for affirmative action programs and policies designed to redress any disadvantage suffered by individuals or groups because of past discrimination. It is worth noting, therefore, that the government of Kenya has been implementing various affirmative action programs for the economic empowerment of women, which include the Uwezo or Ability Fund, the National Government Affirmative Action Fund, and the Women Enterprise Fund, as well as access to government procurement opportunities. And the baby that is about to be born is what we call Thamini loan, which will be for widows. It is interest-free. The 9th month is almost. I think you're here. Delivery is very soon. Yeah. So these initiatives provide women with accessible and affordable credit to support women to establish and or expand their business enterprises and also conduct businesses with government. The social protection programs are in place, also contributing to the reduction of poverty and vulnerability, and notably, all these interventions emanate from the comprehensive Bill of Rights contained in Chapter 4 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010. So Kenya is also implementing critical legislation related to women's economic empowerment, which include Sexual Offences Act, Employment Act to address harassment in workplaces, which has been articulated by many organizations, including government agencies, in form of sexual harassment policies as a performance contract target. The Polycare policy of 2021 is also intended to strengthen the capacity of National Police Service to prevent and respond to sexual and gender-based violence through establishment of a one-stop survivor support center that provides comprehensive support services, including legal, psychosocial support, police, and health to survivors of GBV at no cost. The Polycare initiative is aligned with the Kenya Generation Equality Forum on advancing gender equality and to end gender-based violence by the year 2026. In the same breath, Kenya has committed to ratify ILO Convention 190 on gender-based violence in the world of work in partnership with the private sector. Let me just mention that the Polycare policy, I welcome all of you private partners here, KEPSA. You can say you're going to buy paint. Another one can say we are bringing the brick, and we build Polycare centers in all the 47 counties. So far, we only have 2, Nairobi and Nanyuki. So we still have 45 to go. And our police, as you can see, it's called Polycare, are ready to implement what they have been standing for a long time, utumishi kwa wote. This Polycare center is where the police manning that station will not wish away a woman or write away somebody and say, those are domestic problems or something. They are caring, it is police caring at one-stop shop. You will not be told to go and look for a P3 form. It shall be found there. You will not be told to go and look for a lawyer. There is a legal person there. You will not be told to find your way to the safest place. You will be asked, where do you think you are safe? And we shall take you there. If you say you are going to your uncle's place, then we will take you there. If you say there is no safe place, we have shelters. So far, we are working as a government with the CSOs who have established shelters, but we are also working to have government-run shelters. That is where you can have your CSR and say, I have contributed to my country. So as a country, we have also taken significant steps in ratifying other ILO conventions, especially in extending labor protection to home workers, that is Convention number 177, and also improving the situation of the girl-child domestic workers under the Domestic Workers Convention C-189. As a country, we also recognize the Health Act of 2017, which requires all employers to support working women to breastfeed at work. And on this note, we appreciate the measures taken by the private sector on provision of breastfeeding facilities at work, breastfeeding time, flexible work arrangements, and other gender-friendly facilities. And I'm sure you've all done this. But those other facilities are like what we were fighting for in Parliament, a place where expectant mothers can put their legs up because sometimes they get swollen, during lunchtime. So this is what we mean by other gender-friendly facilities. So please add that to what you need to do. So further to this, our ministry has developed the Women's Economic Empowerment Strategy 2020 to 2025, which provides interventions on which women will be empowered to participate fully in the economy and allow equal access to key resources and services, including capital, credit, land, production, inputs, and knowledge on financial management and formal banking. And at the regional level, the Migration Policy Framework for Africa, that is 2018 to 2030, provides comprehensive policy guidelines to AU member states and regional economic communities in 9 thematic areas, namely the migration governance, labor migration education, diaspora engagement, border governance, irregular migration, forced displacement, international migration, migration and trade, among other cross-cutting issues. So what are the challenges and opportunities? That while Kenya has vast gender transformative legislation and policy frameworks, we recognize the need to accelerate implementation of their provisions. Therefore, as we welcome the launch of the KEPSA policy today, both as public and private sector partners, we are duty-bound to ensure that the policies are translated into equitable participation of women in economic spaces and labor force, and also putting in place issues of monitoring, inspection, enforcement, and awareness raising on this framework. Sincerely, the biggest challenge will be raising awareness to the workers, to the employees, to those who don't have access to this document. So I am sure media is also part of KEPSA. If they are not, they should become part of KEPSA. So they are, So they ensure that they are letting people know this. So in doing so, we must also be alive to the fact of the underlying questions on how to redress past disadvantages experienced by women in the work environment. We must address unpaid care and domestic work, given its significance as a component of sustainable economic development and productive labor force. In this respect, I am pleased to inform you that the government of Kenya is currently developing a policy to guide unpaid care and domestic work in Kenya. Makofi, that one. I'm sure most women or our mothers are in this category of unpaid caregivers. Those with children with disability, they are in this category. Somebody taking care of somebody who is able differently. We must also address the growing informality of work and the mobility of women workers, given that in Kenya, women dominate more than 88% of informal and precarious employment and businesses. Therefore, more needs to be done to promote women's entry, re-entry, and advancement in the labor market by investing in care infrastructure services and gender-responsive social protection. Strengthening education, training, and skills development is also key in women's economic progress, as it helps to meet current and future labor market needs. Additionally, in this era of scientific innovation, leveraging on science, information, communication, and technology is deemed critical for women's economic empowerment. Through public-private sector partnership, education on STEM and emerging technologies among women and girls should be accelerated to prepare and advance them for jobs that have been traditionally dominated by men. Amongst us, there is a lady here who is training women in their construction. I was really impressed. Women to do construction, we just think it is men. So we need more of those, as it has been said here in the speech of our Cabinet Secretary. Lastly, gender equality is requisite for economic progress, both in private and public sectors. And once more, we commend and appreciate the Kenya Private Sector Alliance for the gender mainstreaming policy, which indeed mirrors the national policy on gender and development. Beyond the policy, implementation will be critical, and the next steps KEPSA takes in this process will significantly contribute to enhancing women's economic empowerment. Gender equality and diversity policies demonstrate commitment to improving gender equality outcomes through ensuring value, safety, and recognition. Within these categories, guidelines can help address recruitment and advancement processes to ensure quality between men and women, equal pay for equal work, recognition and rewards that are unbiased and based on contribution and performance, non-discriminatory approaches to care and family responsibilities, and open access to various positions and levels of leadership by removing gender-based barriers. And as we do this, ladies, you must show up. Yeah, for those positions. Yeah. So to conclude, I wish to underscore that as we continue to work collectively, I wish to underscore that as a ministry, we continue to value the strong partnership with private sector. We shall continue to work collectively to ensure that the gender policies in public and private sector are translated into equitable participation of women in economic spaces and the labor force. I thank you on behalf of my Cabinet Secretary, Professor Margaret Kobia. So now, where is the policy we want to launch?
In a few, madam. Okay. In a few. Thank you. Another round of applause for Honorable JB. Thank you. She's come out. You can see the commitment, right? And the commitment, we are told that commitment unlocks the doors of imagination, allows vision, and gives us the right stuff to turn our dreams into reality. And indeed, we are ready to turn our dream into reality by launching the policy. But, madam, let us give you 4 factorial claps. Because indeed, that commitment from government, from the Ministry of Gender, the 2 CASs with us present, the private sector, civil society, media, everyone here, I tell you, that commitment is indeed great. So let us do 4 factorial, and then after that, I will request, because we'll be going to the gist, immediately after the claps, Ms. Mucha will request your presence, Ms. Flora Mutahi, our 2 CASs will request your presence, Engineer Mwangi will request your presence, Dr. Charles will request your presence, and Lucy will request that you'll come forward to the moment of the day. So let's give it up. 4 factorial. In the house as we start the moment. And for the rest of us, while we count down, so if I mentioned your name, kindly come to that side. We have Zuhura and Kawera showing us. Madam CAS will need you here. For the rest of us, this is how we'll usher in Bona DJ. We have our music. Everyone is ready? So, yes. Oh yeah, please come to this side. So, in low tone, ladies and gentlemen, are we ready? Are we ready for the moment? Are we ready? So we'll count together. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but in phases. And then at the count of 1, we will cheer as we launch our policy. Okay, we go. Everyone, we are ready? Tuko sawa? Aya, we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Woo! Let us celebrate, let us celebrate, let us celebrate, let us celebrate. Now we can go to have a photo session. So as we do that, we'll do silent claps until it shangilias. Tuko tayari? DJ, music kidogo. Let us just enjoy the moment. Let us clap tafadhali for this moment. Let us celebrate. Let us celebrate. Let us celebrate. Let us celebrate. And we could have the copies shared with them for the photo session as we continue clapping the moment. So let us celebrate. Let us celebrate. How beautiful it is to see pink, purple for the gender policy. We truly appreciate you. Engineer Mwangi, thank you. Kindly let us move this way for the photo session. Please come to this side. Let us continue celebrating. That is a representation of the policy, the 7 principles that you've been informed, and we look forward that this will translate into everyone incorporating in the organizations. Let us continue clapping. Let us clap. We have the men with us. So at that moment, I will request MasterCard team, please join for the photo session. We also have the UN women, please stand for that photo session. It is appreciation. You can have a look at the policy. Please appreciate, just look at it and see the wonderful work that all of you have done to lead this today. So we truly say thank you very much. Let us give Atama's Maraine. Atama! 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 Yes. Now, at this moment, we'll do photo sessions as we will be having the panelists coming on board as we do that. So we can have them opened. The gender sector board leaders, if you're here, please come for the photo session. This has been your work. Gender board sector leaders, please come Gomeli. The directors of KEPSA, kindly, please come for this session. We're having a photo session. KEPSA, so we start with the gender sector board leaders. Please take a photo together with the leaders just to appreciate the work that you've done. So join in, Bonnie, guide the photo arrangement. So also our directors, please, in the house. So everyone will get a copy of the policy. Have a look at it and make sure you get a photo moment and tag. Get online and share as much as you can to everyone. Take a photo, a selfie. This is the moment, the first ever gender mainstreaming policy by the private sector in Kenya. That's a great feat. Policies are being shared. If not, we'll still continue printing them for the rest of us. The music in the background. When we are through with all the photo session moments, are we okay? Per table, do we have something? Make sure you've seen it. It is being distributed. Every table, make sure you have a copy. Have a look at it and admire the work that you've done. As we have the photo sessions being done, so allow that moment, because this is the biggest moment that we have today. So continue with the music. Make sure you've seen the policy. Please have a look at it, admire it, commit to incorporating and integrating it in your company policy. As we do the photo session, let's make sure you have a copy. So if you're on any social media handle, make sure you have a copy on your handle. Tag KEPSA, tag MasterCard Foundation, tag ministry, tag everyone that you see. Tag yourselves, take a selfie, take photos. This is the moment. Our leaders, please, governing council leadership, please go to the stage. Governing council, the trustees, please make sure you don't miss that photo session. Make sure. And I think, can this space fit everyone? Looks like everyone wants a photo. Are we able to fit during this moment? For those who've come in very fast, if you're part of it, don't miss that moment. This is the moment to be present and to show your space. We'll do that for 1 more minute for the photo session.
Lovely smiles. The more the merrier, they say.
So thank you very much. That was the moment of history. Count yourself as part of history for the future generations that you participated in. Asante sana. CAS Honorable Kilimo, CAS Honorable Shebesh. Thank you. Thank you very much. As we settle, okay, I request Dr. Mwirigi, please come on stage. Miss Mulamane, come on stage. Miss Violet, come on stage. Miss Wangeshi, come on stage. Mr. James Ngomeli, come on stage. And the moderator, Mucha, come on stage. To excite us, tuko tayari? Tuko tayari? Great. So we will have the discussion for a few minutes, just to discuss the policy, their views around it. Then any Q&A sessions will be held. And after that, we will be closing the session. And as usual, we say, msiende kama hamjala. So tafadhali, tunawaomba, mtuwie radhi kidogo kwa masaa machache, kisha tutakuwa tumemaliza wakati wetu wa leo hapa ndani. Miss Mucha, proceed.
Thank you. I think you can see from the smile on my face how excited I am to have come to this moment. And I'm really honored to have our panel this evening as we dive into this conversation built around the gender mainstreaming policy. Ms. Makabelo, I want to come to you, and we're going to dive straight in. Ms. Makabelo Mulamane, Standard Chartered Managing Director, Head of Transaction Banking, Kenya and East Africa, a diversity and inclusion champion at the bank. And I'm going to introduce everyone, and then I'll come straight to you for the questions. I have with me Ms. Wangeshi Wachira, Executive Director, Center for Rights, Education and Awareness, known as CREW, a feminist, gender and women's rights advocate. Wangechi grounds her work in feminist principles and an intersectional feminist framework of analysis. We have with us Dr. Charles Mwirigi, CEO, Women Enterprise Fund. We have with us Ms. Violet Gatwiri, the Vice Chair, Women in Business, Kenya National Federation of Juakali Association, a Young Women in Entrepreneurship dealing with apparel. And lastly, we have with us Mr. James Ngomeli, Board Diversity Lead as part of the Gender Sector Board, a he-for-she champion in the energy sector. So, Makabelo, let me come to you first. Having emerged as a top-performing company in Kenya with regards to gender equality, according to the 2019 Equileap report, it's almost time to eat, Equileap report, kindly share with us a snapshot of some of the milestones that have led to Standard Chartered's achievement of diversity and gender equality in the workplace. What has been the motivation and impact of this amongst the employer, employees, and your customers? Welcome.
Thank you, Mucha. And thank you to CAPSA for having us here today. We really appreciate what you're doing, and we are with you on this journey. So, Mucha, thanks for that question. We believe at Standard Chartered that it starts from the top, right? We always talk about tone from the top. It's not simply the CEO or just the board. It's the top as it cascades all the way through into the organization. And we believe in a culture that's inclusive. If you have that as a start, everything falls into place. Right now, 45% of female representation on our board. We have about 47% representation in senior leadership positions within the bank. And in terms of the bank overall, we have 54% female representation. Our aim at all levels is to get to 50-50. So that's what we've been aiming for. Now, how do we do this, and what's the motivation? You will notice that obviously at the bottom of the chain, we have more women. But as you rise up, they start falling off the ladder. So one of the things we've been trying to address over time is how do we keep women engaged, right? How do we make sure that they remain within the organization, despite having to go off and take time to raise a family and come back? That shouldn't be a deterrent to rising up that ladder. So some of the things that we've done, for example, is flexible working arrangements. If a mom has been on leave and they come back into the workspace, can they work 5 days a week? Not always. And we leave room for that, for them to grow, to nourish their families, and also to grow within the organization. But we don't just stop there. We look at the future of the workplace. And we think about, is our workforce future ready? And by future ready, we mean in the space that we're operating in today, we can see that technology is leading, right? We can see that the green economy is becoming more and more important if we're to leave a sustainable future for the next generation. What are we doing to ensure that we're empowering women with the right kind of skills? And we don't do this only within the bank, we do it for the communities that we serve. We have a program within the bank that's called the Future Makers Program by Standard Chartered. And this program, last year in Kenya specifically, touched over 10,000 lives. This is between girls that are growing and looking to learn through our education programs, and we give them life skills, literacy, etc., and also help them with small business grants. How do we play in that space? We also have women in tech, right? They are the future for us. We believe that our existence as a bank, it's not just about providing financing, but it's also on leveraging on technology. So how are we touching on that? We have a program with Strathmore iBiz Africa, where we take these women through incubation programs, and we make sure that they can actually build a business that's solid and sustainable, and can eventually get venture capital if that's what they need, or financing from their financial institutions, etc. And then lastly, we make sure that our young generation is employable. So we do have an employable program as well, whereby we take, I think last year we touched about 4,800 young students from various universities through the Light for Africa partnership that we have. And we take them through simple skill sets. How do you make sure that you stand out when you go for that interview, right? What do you do? Does your CV stand out? Does it say the right things about you? Do you have the right skill sets? Do you know how to present yourself? All these things are important to ensure that the future generation is ready to come in and support these spaces that we're seeing as leading in the future. So Mucha, these are some of the things that we have done, but it is down to that inclusive culture that we have within the bank. We do embrace women, young girls, people living with disabilities. We ensure that they are part of our journey, because by them being part of that journey, we become competitive, more innovative, and we make sure that we are truly diverse as an organization. So we're quite excited about what we're doing and really gunning for that 50-50 parity at the end of the day.
Wow, fantastic. Thank you. Thank you very much for that. I have a friend of mine who works at Standard Chartered, and she's recently returned from maternity leave. And she was really excited, first of all, because Standard Chartered gives you 6 months maternity leave. And then when she got back to work, she was blown away by the fact that she still earned her bonus. For her, that blew her mind, that her being away did not impact her ability to earn her bonus. So I think you are really not just saying it, but you are actually implementing. Ms. Wangeshi, CRU is renowned to champion a just society where women and girls enjoy full rights and live in dignity, and its mission is to champion, expand, and actualize women and girls' rights and social justice. What are some of the effective approaches that you have successfully employed towards actualizing women and girls' rights and social justice? What are some of the lessons learned that can be replicated by organizations and businesses towards this cause as they look to implement this gender mainstreaming agenda?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Very, very excited to be here and very, very delighted to see this milestone by KEPSA. I think they need a big, big clap because they're leading the way. Let's give them a big clap. Now, in regard to your question, yes, I work for CRU, which stands for Center for Rights Education and Awareness, a women's rights organization, and now very feminist in the work that we do. And our work is not only in Nairobi, we are in different parts of the country. Right now we're in 10 counties, and I'm very, very happy to see the growth of the organization. But to your question around what are the effective approaches that we have done as an organization, I think for me what warms my heart is work around policy like has been done today. In the last about 4 years, CRU has been working with the county governments. And when I say county governments here, is for them to ensure that there is a policy that focuses on gender. And to point counties that the country right now has 7 counties that has a gender policy, and CRU has been part and parcel of that journey. We supported 4 counties. We have Meru County, started in 2019. We have Isiolo County, we have Nairobi County, and most recent, Narok County. So when they have a policy like this, it really anchors the work that yes, the county is going to put in a budget. The county are going to ensure that women can be able to do business in that county. But also very, very important is that those counties then can also be able to have services for women and girls who are going through violence. What also warms my heart is that during the period of COVID, I think we are all affected. All of us were affected, and through a conversation with MasterCard, Joyce was here, is that we saw that a lot of women had lost business. And we started a journey of working with women who are very vulnerable, women who are survivors of violence. In this room, if we are seated 4 women here, one of us is going through violence. So in your table, if you're seated 4 women, one of them is going through violence. And we ask ourselves, how can we be able to get to women who are survivors of violence? And traditionally, if they walked to a bank and say that I'm looking for money, they're likely to be asked for collateral. They are going to be asked, they need a family support. And I have a story to tell another day because we walked to a number of private sector banks in this country. Of course, all banks in this country are private. And some of the stories that I had are very horrific because they said, those women are not stable, those women, if we give them money, they are not able to return. But we were very, very determined. And we got one of the banks that now is hosting, and we were not go there empty-handed. We were going there with a fund that we are doing this with CCGD and GROOTS. It's about 40 million Kenya shillings. And the women can be able to access from 10,000 all the way to 500,000 so that they can be able to rebuild their business, and it's a very, very small interest rate so that then they can be able to rebuild their lives. For me, what we are learning is that as a result of giving women capital, as a result of giving women money on their hands, is that at the household level, violence is reducing. It's something that is telling us, let's empower women, let's have women access our resources. Of course, we also acknowledge that those ones who are in pools where money is, but the ones that are very vulnerable, that if you give them this opportunity, it's possible for them to rebuild their lives. And my appeal is that because I know under generation equality, the government of Kenya has committed that it will set a fund for survivors of violence. I am hoping that we can be able to share that knowledge so that then what we have learned then can be upskilled and be able to do this. We are only doing this in 10 counties and targeting about 1,000 women, but our desire is to be able to share the results that are coming from here. In terms of other strategies that we have done is working with women in leadership positions. That warms our heart because we believe the more you have women in those spaces, that the issues that affect them, they're not going to be left by the back burner. It is that the women have the agency. Women already know what they want. They don't want anybody to speak on their behalf. And we have worked with one of the largest tea farms in the country to ensure that women are included. Women are able to go back to school. Women, when they come back from school, they can be able to be promoted. Because for them, women's rights are good for business. For me, that's very, very critical, that when they embrace women's rights in their companies, it's good for business. We have seen that when women hold those leadership positions, you can actually be able to see the company thriving. You can be able to see the women occupying those positions at a household level. They are able to really be able to thrive. As an organization, we also are very, very critical. We provide support to women who are survivors of violence to be able to get services, because we know those services are very expensive. And we have been doing this, we have a toll-free line. By the way, you must get these two numbers. We have the national hotline, which is 1195. Please ensure you have that number. If we are 4 of us here, women, and one is likely to go through violence, even at a household level, someone is going to go through violence. So we have 1195, but also as an organization, we have 0800-720-186. Please write that number. If someone is going through violence, you know, the ones who are here not writing, maybe there is a neighbor. Please take it so that you can ensure that you have that number. And if someone is going through violence, then it can be supported. We are also doing a mentorship. And why for us, can I repeat the number? The number is 0800-720-186.
Thank you.
Yeah? 0800-720-186. It's very critical. The other thing that we are doing, and we are finding it is giving results, is working with young girls. This country has a crisis of teenage pregnancy. And what it is meaning with this teenage pregnancy, we have young girls who are living adult life. They are living adult life. You know why? Most of them, once they get out of, they are pregnant, very few of them come back to school. And when we applaud the government of Kenya for putting in a policy that return to school, is not every girl who is able to go back to school. What happens to these girls? Then they have to hustle. They have to look for employment. Remember, they're young. They can't even walk to a bank to be able to access loans because they're between the age of 9 all the way to 17. So it's not possible to get even loans at a bank. So we are working with these girls in terms of mentorship. We are working with them in terms of training. And this country, we have a lot of training. What is missing is a mentorship. So in the space that you are, please ensure you reach out to a young girl, whether they are out of school, whether they are within school, and be able to work with them in terms of mentorship. It's very, very powerful. As I finish, is that documentation and research is important, because as we do this work, we are constantly being asked, does it work? Show us, does it have evidence? So that, for us, we found very, very powerful. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. You can see how passionate you are about the work that you're doing, and we're really excited that we